And what's up, everybody? We are live and we are back for the Indie Games podcast. Super excited. It's been a while. We've been on a bit of hiatus that for this show in specifically. We dropped the Indie Games podcast on the regular a little while back, but I am so excited that we are now bringing it back on the regular with a new panel, of regular friends that I'm going to be having joining me on this awesome journey to bring indie goodness to you guys. And today we have got an absolutely awesome guest joining us, very special guest, someone who I've really enjoyed chatting with, and you've seen content that I've covered on this channel of the game he's made, and it's an absolute honor to have him joining us today. But yeah, thank you so much everyone who is joining us. We are bringing back the Indie Games podcast. We are bringing it back on a once a month schedule. Every month we'll be doing Indie Games podcast. You never know, we might up it at one point. It's depending on that. We'll play that by ear. But we are doing first Thursday of every month. You can guarantee your indie goodness on this channel. So keep that in mind, guys. First Thursday of every month for Indie Games podcast. And like I say, we are back. I'm very excited to get into this. Thank you so much everyone who's joining us in the chat. But I'm going to jump straight in to some introductions. I'm going to start. I'm going to leave the special guest for last, actually, on this occasion. I just want to let you guys know, like I say, we're starting on new chapter in the Indie Games podcast. This will be the monthly thing, and we have a core group of guys who are very close friends of mine joining me for this regular and dose of indie goodness. I've got two great guys for this mission. I couldn't think of two better guys who I would have joining me for this. And first I'm going to introduce one of my very good friends, my co-host, partner in crime, Judzilla, will be joining us for the Indie Games podcast tonight and on the regular. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much, Indy. What a great intro, and this is really exciting stuff. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from Joe tonight. Fantastic game. Hope everyone's got it and played it. And yeah, this is going to be brilliant. Monthly, regular, back. Fantastic chat, promoting indie games. Awesome panel, awesome chat. What could be better than that?
Absolutely, my friend. Well said indeed. Thank you very much for being part of this, my friends. I want to say that because it was really important to me, if I was going to bring back this show, to have two awesome guys who love indie games as well and are awesome people too, who I bounce off well. So yeah, I could definitely say that for you and Luke, and that means a lot to me. I wouldn't have brought it back unless it was a sort of a core team who we can bring forward that indie goodness and have a fun time doing it, essentially. But thanks for being part of it. And the same definitely goes for my other partner in crime now, the trio. We're going to have to think of a new name, the Holy Trinity. Basically, we have got another legend on the panel on the regular co-hosting. He is often found at Green Pass Gaming, and quite often on this channel he's been coming along too, so it's another no-brainer to join on the regular. I'm so honoured that he's accepted the invite to also be part of this, and yeah, he's joining today for the first time and going forward. It is Luke Steele. How are you doing, brother?
I'm very, very well, thank you. Yeah, it's as you say, I'm kind of part of the furniture actually, so it kind of made sense to just make it a bit more regular. And I mean, I'm still waiting for the royalties for all the other times I've come on, but I'll take you in good faith.
Yeah, it's a big IOU.
Yeah, it's a big IOU now.
Yes, indeed.
But no, I'm really looking forward to it, and great way to kick off kind of this regular indie podcast as well with Joe and obviously you and Judd. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. Really looking forward to it.
Awesome, brother. Thank you very much once again for being part of it. You and Judd's legends, great friends of mine, and it's a no-brainer to be teaming up because we all love our indies, and that's what this is all about, bringing that indie goodness to people and celebrating it, really. And that is why we're going to be celebrating indie devs as often as possible. And as I said before the show, I could not think of a better person to bring on the first show to really just sort of show what we're going to be about on this channel. An awesome indie dev, someone who's gone solo, made a game, made an awesome game, and really is a great beacon of positivity and sort of enlightenment for people in the community to understand the indie sort of like arena, as he's been through it now and he's on the other side of a game creation. It's an absolute honor to welcome on once again on this channel Joe Winter, the creator of Song of Iron. How are you doing, Joe?
Mr. Indie. It's great to be here, man. It really is. It's an honor. super happy to be on the first show back. It's awesome. And happy to be on the other side of the launch, for sure.
Brilliant. Yes, indeed.
Well, yeah, very much thank you for having me on. I always love doing this and talking with you, so I look forward to it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. It's an absolute honor always to talk with you. And, you're such a down-to-earth guy who, you're incredibly creative, but, great guy to talk to and just very open with your approach to your game as well, which I really think is an awesome thing, especially with the small, indie creators. You kind of have to do that grassroots marketing. So I think that was, something which I think a lot of people really appreciated, the fact you were so accessible to the community. So, but yeah, you're a legend, brother. Thank you very much for coming on. It's going to be fun. We're going to be diving into that Song of Iron goodness.
Awesome.
Beautiful. So just quickly, just give you a quick idea of what we're going to be jumping into, guys. Obviously, like I say, we're going to be diving into Song of Iron and getting that post-launch perspective from Joe, because we've talked many times before on the run-up to release, excitement and all that good stuff. It'll be very interesting to hear Joe's perspectives after release now, and what he's learned, as it is his first indie release, which is exciting. So very excited to dive into that. We're also going to be diving into the Game Awards and what we think we might see represented in an indie variety at the Game Awards, to talk about our favourite indie games of the year, essentially, that we'd like to see there. And another topic is Thunderful. Thunderful are putting on a showcase on the 10th of November, and that is going to be called Thunderful World, which is a pretty cool name, I think. And they're going to be showing off some really cool games, and we're going to be diving into that goodness too later on. But I thought we'd start off with a little bit of a different kind of topic to those, and just warm up with a little bit of a background, because we're starting a new series here. I want to feel kind of like it's we're moving into a new show format. We're changing things up a bit. So I thought we'd get a little bit of a get to know the panel and guest for our first show back on the podcast. And just to get to know some of our sort of like favorite games and what motivated us to check out indie games, and just gaming in general, what started our gaming love in the first place. So I thought maybe we could let's go to Judzilla first on this one. Let's just find out a little bit about you guys, because I know everyone probably knows you, but maybe they don't know you to the level of your gaming history, but maybe it's their first time as well meeting you. So I thought it'd be cool to dive into a little bit of this. We don't have to spend too long on it, but I thought let's dive into some of that. Judzilla, let us know about yourself, my friend. It's a job interview. Tell me about yourself, buddy.
Well, I failed already. If it's a job interview, it's too much stress and I've had too much coffee. No worries. So obviously my gaming history goes back many, many years. Oh, crikey. Even before the Atari 2600, there was like a Tandy console and stuff before then, and the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64. That's what got me into development in the first place. Funnily enough, in the Spectrum coding back out of the magazines in the day. That it's gone from there, and practically everything in between and since. I play pretty much everything. I'm a PC gamer, Xbox, PS, not Nintendo. Let's leave them out of it for now. We can argue about that later. That'll be fine. not so much Nintendo, I should say. Virtual reality as well, and I have a lot of cool games in VR that have actually. One we're going to talk about, talking about indie games and what had a big impact. I would say one of the biggest ones for me was Superhot back in 2016.
Nice.
It was a massively disruptive kind of game, and doing that in VR is nothing like it. And genres, I guess, pretty much anything. Again, my biggest thing is racing. I'm a racing guy, so
nice.
I like all the racing games pretty much, motorbikes, cars, and obviously on the indie side we got Rally, Circuit Superstars, Hotshot Racing. There's tons of them that are exceptionally good. Even tabletop racing on the iPad.
Nice.
That's pretty much where I came from, mate. And
that's great.
Anything else you want to know?
That's great.
Probably not.
You pretty much summed it up really, really well there, actually. Yeah, so you're loving that Super Hot goodness. That was an awesome game, definitely. Really, really unusual, and like I guess that hook, isn't it? That concept of when you move is when the action moves as well. That's a really clever sort of unique hook of a concept and game mechanic, isn't it?
It just is. And even when you're in VR, of course, it's actually when you move physically that time starts to move again, and that had a real impact on me. I was like, oh, okay. So when I moved to turn and look at something, there's something come from behind me. The game, but I mean, man, it was absolutely fantastic. But I play pretty much all genres. I think we'd spoken once about what genres were you into, and I'm like, I don't think there's a genre I don't like, to be honest with you. So, yeah, all in the pot.
Love it, love it. That is a great answer, my friend. Fantastic. You know Judd's a little bit better, guys. Sweet. Let's move to Luke next on this one. I know he plays a vast range of games as well, but yeah, is there any games that have stood out to you? You know, do you have a favourite indie game, my friend? And you know, what's your sort of gaming history, brother?
Yeah, so I don't go quite as far back as Judd's to the Atari days, but I think I mean
Relic.
General gaming. Yeah.
Wrestling Relic. Oh,
All right. You started so late.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Only joking.
They're not wrong. That's fine.
No, so I guess I think earliest memory for me was probably I'm trying to think back. I remember the SNES kind of, and I wasn't I didn't have a SNES, but that's the first thing I ever remember in terms of playing something. And then kind of N64, you know, PlayStation, and I guess the PS1 was probably the thing that really got me into gaming generally. Like that was the thing that really progressed it.
Nice.
And then, I mean, since then I've pretty much owned everything apart from weirdly a GameCube, which I'm always disappointed about because I always really loved the look of it and always really wanted one.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good one.
So, and yeah, I mean, today, you know, these days, I play everything. So, you know, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and obviously, I think probably my main system is my PC. So, as you know,
that's a good answer.
So, yeah.
Sorry, I did wonder that whether you're gonna. If I asked you that, you'd say it was all even, but I think you said so. Your PC's main, and that's cool. It moves up and down, you know, as I think it does for everybody else. But it's you know, the consistent one is PC. I think. Sweet.
And funnily enough, it's never always been like that. That's only really happened the last 4 or 5 years, I guess, that I kind of migrated. I'd say migrated, you know, kind of took most of my gaming time over to PC.
Nice, yeah.
So that's that. I mean, in terms of indie games, I mean, I got on the indie train, I guess, pretty early on. So, you know, I think, you know, as far back as Summer of Arcade, you know, on Xbox Live, I was starting to play indie games. And really I'd probably say that was the boon of indie games. You know, that was kind of the birth area of that whole thing. So I even remember playing stuff like Cloning Clyde and you know, and Braid, Castle Crashers. You know, those were the kind of things that were really cool back then.
Definitely,
still are to some extent. And so I've been gaming. I guess that was like 2006, 7, 8. So I've been playing indie games since then, and they've increasingly become kind of, you know, something that I try and play a lot of because I tend to really, really, really enjoy it. And there's so much creativity in that space, I think.
Yes.
In terms of like greatest indie game, I don't know.
Tough one.
Yeah, it's a really tough one, really difficult.
It's funny because I know why it's so tough, but I find it really easy myself. But then when you haven't got that one, there's so many good ones, isn't it? It's tough.
Yeah, I think yeah. When there's so, especially the last few years, because the quality is just really ramped up, and some of these games are, you know, just incredible. I think probably for me, and this is not going to be a surprise to you, my current favorite is probably Outer Wilds, because I just think that's
nice. So that's actually your top. That's pretty impressive. That is.
I think it's
a lot of love
there.
there.
Yeah.
It's even more baffling that you haven't played the DLC. Then that is.
I haven't had time.
I'm shocked. No, I'm only joking. I know you've been so busy lately. You got it. I'm sure you're saving it for that perfect moment when you've got full devotion of the time. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, probably that, and I mean, there's other ones that are, you know, Limbo's up there, Inside is up there.
Oh yeah.
Celeste, you know, there's so many fantastic, memorable from the last kind of 10 years indie games. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's my history.
Great.
So I hope I've passed the
I
interview.
love it. I love it. You've passed. You got the job.
Oh,
Imagine
good.
that. No, this was actually how you got on the podcast. That would be quite a weird situation. No, that's awesome, my friend. I love it. I know, both of you guys have got great, gaming tastes and stuff. And I, always think like, Luke, you always have great taste. Apart from Outer Wilds, we clash on. That's the one weird one that we clash on. But maybe one day I'll discover I love it. But yeah, no, let's get my man Joe Winter and his. I think I know some of his actually, of his favorite indie games of all time, for obvious reasons, for inspiration behind his game. But yeah, I'm very interested to hear a little bit of gaming history from you, brother, and what's got you into it all. And again, like favorite indie games, my friend.
Yeah, of course. No, I go. I was born in '85, but my gaming started on the Atari. Didn't get a Nintendo till a ways later and all that kind of stuff. So I remember playing like Pitfall forever and never getting past like the third page, and like War Games, which was like a crazy one where you just like go off screen, tanks and airplanes and stuff. And like the pixelated of the pixelated kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that stuff was just bonkers. And it just like from the very beginning as a kid, you just get sucked into that stuff. And I think the first game I really like identify with in any way was like Mega Man X, though. Like that was like that really like latched onto me, and I was like, this was really cool. And I probably played it just over and over and over again.
Nice.
And then it just kind of went from there. Anything I could get my hands on, which sometimes I had to buy myself. Sometimes I was lucky enough to get gifted as a kid and all that stuff.
Sweet.
But like the Zelda games, they just like blew my mind, and I just couldn't get enough of them. And it just and the style of game that I like has kind of never changed. Like I've always loved the feeling of those sorts of games, and I think that's a lot of what indie games embody these days. And so it's awesome because it's sort of like that golden era and the nostalgia era in a way of stuff. And so anything that kind of is hitting those early Ocarina of Time, Majora's Masks, or Mega Man kind of stuff, I'm always going to be a big fan of. But I like the evolution of it too, which is why I'm such a big fan of Inside and stuff like that, because they, those are so similar and yet so evolved from the games of that era. So I love to see that kind of stuff. And obviously that's kind of the direction I went. Yeah,
I was going to say Inside is such an it's inspired so many, and even yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's so many games inspired by it. It's very
totally
pivotal.
I think I got to go favorite, if I were to pick one, would probably be with Journey.
Nice.
Like I've played that so many times at this point. I think you consider that an indie game still.
It's a
just
weird one,
gorgeous.
Isn't it?
They just did some of the best things that have been in games in a long time, and still unemulated.
Amazing game.
Just love it.
Yeah, definitely. Was did you with the mechanic where you sort of like encounter another character? Is that something that was you were in?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that was just that. God, that just makes that game so unique in just the most. I don't want to say bizarre way, but just like just great. It's just so great. Yeah. I still remember. I think it was my first playthrough. Like I was probably 90% of the way through. I had been with the same person the whole time, and like I had to go to the bathroom so bad, and I didn't want to lose this guy. So like I just pinged him a ton, and like I sat down. And he came over and sat down with me. Nice. So I ran off, and then I came back, and we were both just sitting there. And like there was some achievement that was like moment of Zen where you had to like do that exact thing. But it just blew my mind that we were able to do it without a voice chat or anything, and you're just doing these little chirps at each other. And it was just like there was no comparison to that kind of weird human interaction that you can get from that game.
Yeah, it's such a unique way. If people don't know what we're talking about, it's kind of it is actually an online player, isn't it? Who's is it a live online player, or is it their recorded footage? Do you remember that?
No, it's a real player. Yeah, it's just like they just kind of get dynamically brought in with you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you interact, don't you? So it couldn't be recorded for because you actually that's true.
Yeah, it's just another person, and they just dynamically bring you in, and if you stick together, then they keep you together.
Yep.
But if you just sort of like leave them, then it just sort of disconnects, and it's great. It's really, really cool.
Such a cool concept, yeah. And the lead up to the end of that game is amazing as well. Very much,
Absolutely.
a powerful sort of emotional game in a without telling words kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. That's awesome picks, my friend. Yeah, I knew a few of those, but I'd love to hear the insight behind it and all that. It's fantastic. I think that's a great way for us to start off the show, guys. We've got a few topics to get through, but so we're going to keep this one moving. But I think that was a lovely little way to start off this show. Thank you very much for those insights, guys. And I just want to get to my man Stubbs Gaming, who has dropped a super chat. Very kind of you, my friend. You're a legend. Thank you so much for that. He says, excellent panel and guest. The return of the IGP podcast. Excellent choice with Judzilla and Luke. Great stuff, indie baby. Thank you so much, Stubbsy. That's very kind of you. Really appreciate all of your support, buddy. It means a lot. And thank you so much to everyone else who is in as well. Just want to quickly do a quick run of shout outs. I'm going to be trying to keep moving things a little bit quicker than I usually do. So apologies if I'm a bit snappier, but we're going to shout out you legends. We've got Dragon Wolf in the house. We've got Back from the Dead. Great to see you guys. Who have got Z Black Rider in the house. We have got, I nearly said Juds, Stubbs Gaming. Luke still is on the panel. Scott is in the house. Scott in the house, my friend. Great to see your partner in crime from Green Pass. Thank you very much for coming by, Scott. He says Ori is definitely one of his favourites from that category. I would definitely be in agreement with that. It's one of my favourites as well, my friend. Up there with you know who. Hollow Knight for me is my favourite indie of all time. I think everyone who watches this channel knows that very well. But yeah, I love my Metroidvanias for sure. Who else do we have in? We have Lady Foxfire and Meisuko, two legendary peeps in the house. Thank you very much for being here, my friends. Always great to see you guys. Infinite in the house. Thank you very much for coming by. Fastback 2, who was on the previous Indie Games podcast. So great to see you back in, my friend. It was a pleasure doing that with you back in the day. Smokeback Official has been very early too. Thank you so much. And Kaya Sante as well. Thank you so much, everyone who's come by. It's really awesome to see you guys in. And we are going to keep this moving and move into our first chunky of a topic, and maybe what I'd call, well, 100% I would call our main feature today. And that is our breaking down of a bit of Song of Iron goodness. We've got the man in the house. So yeah, we're just going to jump into a bit of a chat with Joe. His amazing game he made. I loved it. I loved reviewing it. I loved playing it. I've played it through 3.5 times now, I'd say. And yeah, it's awesome. And we've got a bit of gameplay up on the screen for you guys to check out. I was actually going to pull the trailer as well in a bit. But yeah, this was from last night, by the way, guys. This is the first time I played it in a while, so apologies if I'm not not quite up to. A bit of practice would have been helpful, but because you get a bit rusty. But anyway, we're going to jump into some Song of Iron chat now. If you have any questions for Joe, definitely hit us up in the chat, guys, and Judsy will be looking out for any questions from you guys very kindly. And yeah, but I think we may as well just start off with a nice question, and that is directed of course to Joe. How have things been? You're on the other side of release of your game now. I talked to you a lot on the run up to release, of course, and things were quite stressful. Naturally, obviously, you got a lot to do in only a one-man band, and it's a push for that release, regardless of how organised you are. And yeah, let's just get a little feel for how have things been? How's the reception been? How have you felt about things just in general after from a post launch perspective, Joe?
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible, and emotions run the gamut with something like this, probably for anybody doing it, and highs and lows for sure. I think I definitely was having a hard time the first few days, trying not to read, but inevitably reading negative reviews, and numbers haven't been as good as I wanted, unfortunately. Not terrible, but definitely under what I hoped for. So there was like a week or two of kind of like, oof, I don't know if I did the right stuff here, everybody. I don't know, I might have messed up. Love it, yeah. It's so rough, and especially coming off of like the stress of getting up to the day and, wanting everything to go really well and stuff. And but cleared from that time a bit, and like having more time to see what the numbers are actually doing, and do some forward thinking math and all that. And I'm much more proud of myself now than I was the few days after launch.
I'm really glad to hear that, because when I was talking to you in the DMs as well, wasn't I? Back when it was very much fresh out of the gate. And you were
moping for sure.
I can say you were definitely, it seemed a bit like not your usual self, a bit more like negative, and it's understandable because it's a very much an emotional time, isn't it? It must be. I don't want to say.
Yeah, it's so. Oh my gosh! Like I've never experienced that before, and I've done things that would like give you that feeling, and it's just so much more that there's no one to blame but myself. There's it's like it's so dependent on me and everything, and you just hope that like I don't know, like if you've ever made something, whatever it is, it's like I'll notice this, but no one else will notice it. With games, that's not true at all.
Right.
Like everybody will notice everything.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And there's plenty of stuff. I'm like, I hope it's okay that I kind of did it this way, and everybody's like, definitely shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, oh God.
Was this more down to is that kind of choices in the direction, or was that down to other stuff? Would you say
it's like a pretty big mix? I think for the most part, it's like this is not super clean. There's a little jankiness in this area. Hopefully that like people kind of can see through that.
Sure.
And people are just like railing me on.
Yeah, right.
And then just sort of like the one man band thing. I can only put so much effort into each thing. So I try to think like I will really make a simple menu and option system in lieu of making this thing better, and everybody complains about the thing that I didn't spend as much time on.
Right.
Inevitably, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just this unwinnable kind of thing. But again, like not to mope too long about it, like I think it's done well enough that I have a runway to continue being an indie developer, indie developer, and like I've always said whenever we've talked about it or whenever in any of my videos, it's like it's all about the learning process, and I've learned so much from this, and I've patched and updated it a bunch, or a bit, and I'm trying to do some more, but there's so much stuff where it's like I can do this so much better next time, so I'm really getting excited for what the next time and what the future holds and stuff like that. And
absolutely, definitely, and we'll definitely get into that in a little second. I mean, I know you were quite down. It's good to hear you're much more positive now, and it's really good to hear that, because I mean, I'm no expert in this, but I could tell it was a gut reaction thing, and it was you're never going to get 100% of like people on your side, and I think it's difficult when you're in the eye of the storm to take a look baok, if you know what I mean, from a distance.
Definitely.
So it's good to hear you're in a much more positive state, because I mean, I loved the game, and there was a lot of people who loved it as well. I know the people who I saw other reviews of really enjoyed the game as well, and it's probably noticed it quite divisive in a way. There was a lot of people loving it, and then maybe there was a couple of people who were just sort of a bit more picky or something. I'm going to be a bit of a I'm going to ask a bit of a tough question, maybe, if you don't mind. Would you have taken longer to make sure everything's ironed out more in retrospect? I
think so. I think the patch, I released a patch, I think it was like maybe the second kind of major patch, probably about 3 weeks after launch. I think it does sound like there was that much different, but I did fix a few major things that I think got in a lot of people's ways.
Yeah.
And it was really simple stuff, like climbing had some issues. There was just a couple other little bugs that kind of were popping up for people. And then also one of the ones that minus having tons of testing, which I had some, was localization I got hit really hard for. And it's like the hardest thing, because I don't speak these languages, so you kind of have to trust the translators and the system that I had hired to do it. And I mean, everyone was just like going at me for that. Yeah. And luckily my community like jumped in, and I mean, within those first couple weeks, I had all brand new translations for everything. with UI and the narrative and stuff, and I haven't gotten those complaints again since, and
that's good.
Or like definitely by the same metric. So it's sort of this like, oops, 3 more weeks would have been great, but it's sort of like it's so hard to know, and
The tough thing is you're so on your own as well. It's your first one, and it's you could go on forever because like with art, I know like if I'm editing photos or something, which I do some of quite a bit of actually in batch, and it can be like how long are you going to spend on this one photo over and over again? Or it's probably a similar thing, tweaking and tweaking.
When like perfect is the enemy of finished kind of stuff, and you just kind of like. You just gotta do, and you have to guess, and it's like 5 months ahead. I was trying to predict when I'd be done, and I did a pretty good guess, I think.
Yep.
Like I got pretty close in there, and there's all this like external stuff that's not just straight game development that like takes a bunch of time and energy and yada yada. So I think it'd be great if I had more time, of course. If I had a whole year, it would be awesome because I could do all sorts of stuff. But I think I'm still happy with it. I think, nothing in life is fun without a little bit of controversy. And so this is how I'm going to be better for the next one. And there's all these things I know for sure to really have packaged up well and stuff for that and stuff, and
definitely most definitely
happy for that.
It's all a learning process, isn't it? Like I mean so many like devs who have gone solo, they've made a few games and sometimes you haven't even heard of them, and then they make quite a well popular sort of like indie, don't they? You know what I mean? Then maybe these other ones are kind of smaller ones they've made on like just on mobile or something or whatever it is, or and you're just building up, aren't you? And but I personally I loved the experience I did. But so
exactly. That's I have to. My friends and my wife keep reminding me. It's like this is your first game. You released it by yourself. It's like 75, depending on the day, on Steam, or almost 80. Reviews. Like for users, like this is not something to be like upset about. It's
exactly. Yeah, it's mostly positive on Steam, isn't it? And sitting at us, and it's 80. Sorry, 80%. Sorry, you say on the positive.
It was for like. When they do the newer review section, I was above 80 for like a couple days, and I mean there's only like a few in the new, so one negative one like dropped it down a bit, but it's hovering in there and stuff. So I mean I'm happy with it, and
exactly.
I kind of jokingly am thinking of this as like Witcher 1,
well there you go.
It's technically a game, and Witcher 2 got way better, and then we'll see how it goes.
No, most definitely. It's you're all on a journey, aren't you? It's a cliche word, but it is a journey. But like the experience for me was like I say, a really enjoyable one, and one I still enjoy going back to. So don't forget the people who did love it. You're not saying you are doing that, but like it's easy to focus on the negatives, isn't it? Like, oh my god, that guy, he's laying into me.
Yeah, I know. I read there was a new one this morning. I read it and I woke up way too early, and it's been bugging me all day.
Oh, really?
And you just have to fight it. You have to get over it, but it's just not fun. People are so mean in those things too. It's just like, oh man, I was gonna help, but you're not making it any easier.
I guess that's where the accessibility of indie games is kind of got a negative sort of spin too, hasn't it? Because if it's a big company, they throw hate at a company or whatever, and it goes to the social media person, and then the developer might not see it or whatever.
It's easier to to feel better about like I just did the animations or whatever. So it's not a big deal, but I mean you said it, and I don't want to underplay how amazing the support that I have gotten is. I mean it's so awesome, and seeing the reviews from like you and Boom and various other people, it's just like it's so great. It makes me feel so good, and I still get messages like all the time of people who have like just finished it and just like really liked it and all this sort of stuff, and that like is the best thing. That's why I did it.
Awesome.
So I definitely never want to underplay that, because those are the people who matter the most, are the people who play it and give it a chance, and understand where I'm coming from, and
most
and all
definite. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, it's a tough thing, isn't it? Like, because like you feel every blow of every comment, and but yeah, like I'm glad to. I hope you feel the good comments in that way too, which I'm sure you do, like you just mentioned. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, firstly, before we go on, Judd or Luke, did you have anything you wanted to chime in with, or would you like me to carry on? Anything you want to ask at any point, feel free to jump in, my friends. Anything you wanted to go?
I've got some questions myself, but I want to get some chat things in. There's a couple of nice comments in here that I want to get across to Joe. So
thank you, my friend.
First one is from Meisuko. And he says, tongue-in-cheek, I think, this one. But you can never tell with Meisuko. He's a channel legend.
Yes, he is.
And an indie god. This man is awesome. He is awesome.
Facts.
He says, Song of Iron is much better than The Witcher 1.
Hey,
so there you go.
I'll take it. Hey, all right.
That's factual.
Absolutely. But we got some nice comments in the chat as well about it's nice to have some refreshing honesty from devs, which is a common theme. Scott also said, I'm glad to hear you're feeling more positive, Joe. You should be unbelievably proud of what you created.
Definitely.
So there's a lot of positivity going through the chat.
It really is.
Excuse me. And Stubbs says Joe is a real inspiration, which I think we can all agree with.
Definitely.
But getting on to the first question from the chat, that would be one I'm sure you've heard from Scott. So you might have a good answer already. What was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome in developing Song of Iron? And if I can just add on the end of that, Joe, one of my questions later on was, what would you tell yourself at the beginning of this project if you could go back in time?
Sure. I think the biggest hurdle undoubtedly is the transition from making this game in Unreal and then getting it to run on a platform like Xbox or Steam, and I'm investigating some other ones now, and it is like Unreal, like a Photoshop or any of these like kind of inclusive programs, like everything works great, but the second you're trying to make it work somewhere else, it can be an absolute nightmare. And because I'm not an engineer, because I'm from the art side, I don't really know how to like read through the code on how to do stuff. So it's definitely the biggest struggle for me. It's this like, game is done, you can play it through this exe on Windows, and now I have to get it like, and all those platforms have all these things that they need, like what happens when the controller gets unplugged, or you have to connect to the Steam achievements and like through their networks, and so all of a sudden it becomes this kind of mess of all these systems trying to work together, and it's just getting muddier and muddier as I'm like investigating more and more of them. And
definitely,
that's a really interesting answer. Actually,
it's not the fun answer compared to
I know what you mean,
ooh, designing the boss was so difficult. But it's just like that stuff by comparison is easy because it's fun. This stuff, you just start reading this documentation and you just want to walk away and never come back. It's just
definitely,
it's rough, and it's the last step. I think we're seeing tons and tons of solo devs kind of come out of the woodworks this year. I think we're going to keep seeing more and more, and I think these companies need to keep fixing those bits so that we can continue that trend.
Definitely,
I think we'll see more of it. But
do you know what? That's an amazing answer, Indy. I mean, it's an amazing answer because it's one of the things that you wouldn't expect. When you're talking about game development, like Joe said, designing the boss or making the mechanics do this or that. I've had exactly that problem in my job as well. Porting to other platforms, it is a nightmare going through the technical documentation, and it just doesn't work, and you don't know where to turn. Another quick one from the chat though, Indy, and then we'll pass it over to Luke if he's got one. But have you got any plans for a physical copy? That was from Defloyd.
I had hoped that it would do like bonkers good, and I definitely wanted to do like a limited run or something. I don't have any plans right now though. At this point, I think it would be super awesome to do something. I know people love it, and it'd be great to put it on the shelf behind me here.
That'd be cool, yeah. Then there's a nice little like sort of token kind of thing. Yeah, I mean the thing, I bet you're going to say the thing is kind of it's the expenses of that, isn't it? I guess, or I imagine your next step, if anything, it's to get to sort of like another platform first. Would it be, or? Yeah,
I mean, on the list of like kind of what I have to do to survive, like that sort of stuff's definitely like way low on it now. I definitely had like all these plans, like this is gonna be great, and I'll do like a big run of some of these, and I just don't think it's super feasible right now. Maybe that'll be like, game 3 will be, everybody will be so pumped.
Exactly.
We'll get the box set or something. All of them will be included.
Most definitely. Yeah, well, exactly. Again, Joe keeps laying these little, he keeps alluding to game 3, game 2. Guys, I'm going to lay a little something down. Joe spoke to me in the DMs about this, and he's happy for me to say, I know he's already pretty much practically saying it himself, but he is already, laying out the foundations for game 2, which is absolutely awesome. I'm super excited about that. It's not just in his head; he is actually starting to work on it. Would I be correct in saying, Joe, you're starting the foundations?
It's the very beginning of stuff. I'm trying not to jump in too fast because I don't want to like burn out after like I'm finally getting relaxed from all this stuff and working on these other Song of Iron things, and my brain I can't stop it from spinning on what the next stuff's going to be and how it's going to get better. And
awesome.
So I've started to investigate some stuff. So
that is super really exciting.
Already very excited about it. Yeah, I mean, like
that is so cool.
Oh yeah.
That is really exciting to me. I mean, because like, especially again, you were having a little bit of emotional turmoil, might be a bit much thing to say, but at one time you were kind of sort of thinking about things a bit differently, but then I think came out the other side and you were thinking no, this is I'm loving this, you know what I mean, you've got to carry this on and it's going to be the next game. And it's so good to hear you're actually getting stuck into it. Shows that creativity is bursting out of you. I think I might have said that to you. You just can't stop the creativity flowing, which is that's the most valuable thing in the world for a person in a job like yourself, or if I was to relate it to a YouTuber, if they haven't got the creative urge, then there's nothing there, you know what I mean? You can't force it.
You cannot force it. Oh no, absolutely. And so and that's why I'm kind of trying to hold myself back a little bit, because it's so easy to overly jump in and just go wild and then go down a dead end or just kind of get re-burnt out in a month. But I'm just doing some simple stuff, some simple explorations and kind of testing some systems I had built that I want to redo and all that kind of stuff, and art, kind of exploring improvements to the art and how to make it more performant but look better at the same time, and just kind of just touching all the little bits and pieces.
That is super cool, actually. I'm gonna just cut that off there so we don't show off too much of the game. And but that's so exciting. If you haven't played this game, guys, you've got to pick it up. It's an awesome game. Song of Iron, you've got to get in there and experience it, especially if you like games like Inside. It's very much along those lines. You can feel the inspiration there, but with the combat as well, which I really enjoy the gameplay. I think it's a very beautiful game as well. I mean, how would you be looking to kind of like push it next time? Like you say, are you going to be, what area is your kind of like area you're going to try and expand on? Is it I would say visuals you've got down pretty much. You know what I mean? But which area are you looking to expand on next time?
I mean, really, I kind of just want to take everything I did and just make it twice as good as it was for this game. And that's a tall order maybe, but I think it's a great goal to have. I think visuals can get way better. It's a thing where this looks great. There's not much like ground foliage there, and there could be more detail here, and like all this little just extra detail that I just really want to get in. I'll tell you, the world feel more alive.
I'll tell you something though. When you come out of that cave for the first time, this is one of my favorite parts in the game. I think I told you about it. The lighting. I should have mentioned it a minute ago, but I didn't want to stop your flow. And this is something I want to bring Luke in on, because Luke the other day we're talking about Halo, and he said the trees don't move in Halo, in the new Halo. And so I think maybe when you left Halo team, you must have been doing the tree movements. Because they forgot to animate
tree animator.
Senior tree animator. Yeah.
It's because like
director of
I'd say I swear that, because your trees look epic and the light casting over them look beautiful, and they need that in Halo actually, because if anything you need that like to feel alive in the immersion. That was what you were saying the other day, wasn't it, Luke? I remember.
Yeah, it helps so much to have motion. Like, here's some still trees in here. Well, I'm probably speaking to the video I'm watching on the stream, so it's super delayed. But like, Yeah, it's those things help a ton. I mean, Unreal kind of has all these sort of outlines and blueprints for you to kind of create this stuff. So I hate ever taking like full credit for any of it, but
I see,
it just does so much to bring the world alive. And
but you're the curator at the end of the day. You know, there's assets that you brought together. I mean, it's like anything in life.
Yeah. So it's just there's just so much more to do, and like that includes character animation. You know, the combat system. You know, I don't want to make it a different game, but there's more layers to be put on it and make the system cleaner so that more people have an easier time with it initially and can find more depth with it. I think it maybe was a little shallower than I would like in some ways.
Sure. That's interesting. Yeah.
It had breadth, but it didn't necessarily have depth,
Yeah, I mean,
way to describe it.
So you're talking more like story development and stuff. Is that where you were focusing?
Like combat. I mean, you hit the button and it attacks. Yeah. You draw the bow and it fires. And I think that there's ways to add some more kind of depth to it.
I quite like the feeling of momentum, which is actually quite a unique feeling in the game. Like when you run to jump and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like some games you press jump twice to jump further. It's like this game you kind of run and then jump and you get that sort of movement thing going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very physics kind of centric game, and I think I've always really liked games that are grounded in reality and really have sort of like natural physics. So like the jump in this game is really low. Like he barely jumps, but if you're sprinting, you can jump far enough to make the gaps. And that's definitely something I want to maintain. I think I do think it's a unique feel, and I just want to improve upon it and make it more usable. I want to add, grappling and a couple other things like that, just to kind of round out that kind of barroom brawl kind of vibe that I was going for the whole time.
Get a Jackie Chan cameo in there,
Fight with a ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. But like, I mean, one thing if I request something is maybe a variety of bosses next time. That would be lovely.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I definitely want to increase the enemies and work to make more unique enemies. I think I clearly was like reusing pretty heavily in this, and
it's hard.
And I think now that I've kind of got so much of the stuff of the like background stuff is done or in a good state where I'm going to be able to spend a lot more time on that kind of thing, and so I think that's definitely going to be a focus.
Yeah, no, that's definitely cool. Like, I obviously, there's nothing better than lighting up the old axe on fire as well and things like that, which is super cool, especially when you're in the caves and things. Like, the abilities look super stylish. Are they going to be sort of the same, or are you going to be fleshing that out a little bit more?
That's a good question. I'd hate to answer and lie. I don't want to like have the game feel like it changed magically between so hopefully they can be similar and the same, but I've got some ideas I think should be interesting.
Cool.
We'll see.
No way. Sorry, that's totally cool to reject.
No, you're fine.
No, I'm being cheeky. Love it.
Yeah, you never know.
No, yeah. Beautiful. Do I get a cameo in the next one? I'm joking. That would be the worst choice you ever make.
Wolfric.
Yeah. Beautiful. The laughing hyena is in the game. Beautiful. Let me just get to. There was a couple of super chats because I'm being slack on that. Thank you so much, guys. You didn't read them, did you, Justin? No, a minute ago. I don't think you did. No. So Z Black Rider has been an absolute legend, as he always is, and dropped a super chat in the Canadian variety, I do believe. And he says, I tried that with Posy Education and School. Game dev sounds harder. I'm not sure what point he said that with relation to what we said.
I think it's post-education.
I just read it for verbatim because I wasn't sure if he was referring to something I was unaware of. So thank you, post-education.
You might be. Tell us in the chat if that's the case, you Black Rider. But we'll never know.
Yeah, Posy Education. That's a new one. But yes, thank you very much, Z Black Rider, for being here, and very kind of you to drop the super chat, my friend. You're a legend. And also we have one from the awesome Lady Foxfire. Always an absolute pleasure to see you in, my friend. And you have said, glad to see the podcast is back. great panel and first guests. Couldn't agree more on the guest and panel guys who have joined us. Thank you very much for that, Foxy. You are awesome. And yeah, keep up the great work on your channel. Loving all your content as always. It's awesome to have you back in the community. And Meisuko has dropped a super chat. What are you doing, guys? You're too nice. No, thank you so much, guys. It really does mean so much, and just to have you guys here, legendary people, all of you. Meisuko, one of the MVPs of the channel for sure. What a great guy. Thank you so much, buddy. In €1, €5. Love that the indie podcast is back. Also, all the best of luck to Joe on future projects. Awesome stuff, Meisugo. Thank you so much. And yeah, definitely second that. Cannot wait, to see the next in Joe's repertoire. Very excited for that. Yeah, do you guys have any questions for Joe before we kind of maybe move away from Song? I've got a couple more, one more that I wanted to quickly ask. But did you guys any of you guys had anything before I did?
I do, but I want to let Luke go just in case he's got something burning he wants to ask.
Go on, Luke.
Yeah, no, I just have one question, and that's kind of, speaking about kind of moving on to the next game, to the next thing. And I guess kind of when did that kind of thought become a conscious thought? When did you kind of transition, or have you still not fully transitioned away from the first game? Obviously, you spoke earlier about, it's, and I think everybody feels this no matter what you do when you work on something, like there's always stuff you can do to, continue to improve or polish or do stuff like that. And it can be really difficult, I guess, to let, just let the thing be and be in a state where you're happy with the thing. So has that moment kind of now arrived for you where you're like, actually, it's in the place I really want it to be and I'm ready to go on? Or is there still kind of a bit in your mind that's like, maybe I'll go back and I'll do X, maybe I'll do Y? Or is it, and how difficult is it to kind of get out of that headspace if that's what you're trying to do?
Yeah, it's I'm getting close. I wouldn't say I'm quite there yet. Just wanting to make sure that anybody who picks it up, going forward, like it's in a really good state and I haven't left any major things broken or like, in a state that's just like makes it difficult to play or anything like that. Yeah. But it's going to be a slow, like true cutoff, because I am trying to like expand to other online platforms and I'm just sort of investigating all that sort of stuff. And so I'm in the game still, I'm still working on it. And I'm like, I tweak stuff because I'm there. And the hope would be that like I can, the figure out which platforms it's going to be, kind of get it out there and then sort of be able to be like officially as 100% done as you really can be with something like that. And that's going to kind of be like a slow trickle off kind of thing. And then that hopefully will be as I trickle on to the next one. And it's because it's a single player and because, I'm planning on follow-up games. I really do want to kind of be able to walk away from it because it's so hard to tinker and tinker and tinker once it's already out. And I think I definitely am a person who really wants to like move on and use the information to make the next thing better instead of just constantly improving a thing. I think it's, there's diminishing returns and all this sort of stuff. And I would rather just go, okay, I learned what I'm going to learn. Like, let's do it. Let's do this like way better this time. And like, we can, to fix some of the stuff in the game I'd like to fix. It's just like massive reworks. And it'd be so much better to not break the game on accident trying to do all that and just fix it for the next game, which would be the fear. Yeah, I mean, Pixel mentions the stamina bar. Like, yeah, I did some new health bars and stuff. Like that was just like readability for people and a few more things like that coming, but almost done.
Almost done.
Awesome. And
okay,
then
India, I can.
Yeah, you go on.
I was gonna.
Go on, my friend.
Great. So there's a couple of questions in the chat I want to call out. I think they've been answered now, but give the people the recognition in the chat for their questions. Thank you very much. So the first one was, do you have any projects in mind floating around for the next thing? From Dragon Wolf, I think we've confirmed that's an indie gamer exclusive.
Yes, indeed. Exciting.
And then Smokeback Official was asking what game inspired Song of Iron. I think he might have been. Didn't hear the answer to that prior.
Yeah,
Joe, do you want to quickly cover that? And then I've got another one.
I think the most direct one pretty much is Inside. I think though, I mean, there's a ton of little things, but that I definitely at the beginning said, what would Inside be like with a Viking fighting? And that was the genesis of it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. So my last question, Indy, or I'll try and put these two in one, add a couple more. But talking about evolving the next game, what sort of things could we be seeing? I'm guessing you've got ideas for potentially RPG or classes or maybe co-op. You don't need to share anything now, but I was thinking while playing through the game, there's some excellent opportunities to add some of that stuff in. But the question I'd really like, I think you should be able to answer, is you've mentioned on an interview before the downsides of AAA development, your inability to explore concepts and ideas because you have to keep the core audience happy with what they come to know and love. Do you think that now you have a core audience in Song of Iron, you're going to have that same kind of pressure if you do change up a potential sequel?
Yeah. So there will be some touch of that, I think. I think, at least for game 2, it's sort of like it'll take 2 games to establish some of the things that like need to stay true to Song of Iron all the time. I think for people who have played it and gotten through the ending, I kind of like opened this crazy can of worms, and I think that's sort of like, and it's not meant to be like now I can do whatever I want in the next one and you'll never know. Like I have a plan, I know where that's going. So I think something that I did really early on, which was kind of plan out the full story. It's sort of everything is still moving in the right direction, so I don't have to do any like sudden changes to like fix or change or like make the game different. It's all built into what's been going on. There's definitely pressure to maintain, like Indy's talking about the combat, like the momentum of it. I think that's stuff that I want to just make better. That's like the core of what the game was to me from the beginning. So I hope to keep exploring with this and keep learning more and building on what I've done. But hopefully there's nothing so precious that I couldn't drop it if I wanted to, other than making it not Vikings fighting in a side scroller or something. I was suddenly it's a third person action game or something.
The Viking comeback if possible.
That's a good question, but I mean, we won't spoil anything because there's quite a twist in the game. I've spoiled a little bit there, but we're definitely not going to go into any details. But the way it was left at the end of the game, I wonder whether are we going down that route or are we staying on the are we staying more in the majority of the game's tone, would you say? Let's just answer it vaguely.
How vague do you want? We'll see. It's gonna be progressive. I'm so excited about it. I think one of the reactions I was the most afraid of was people's reaction to that. Right. There was a few people who were like really mad at me, but for the most part, 99% people were like, "Whoa, that's like super unexpected," but like people liked it. There was a few like purist Viking people, and they're like, "How dare you?"
Yeah, well,
strange. I get it, but there's a great plan, and I'm very excited about how all that goes.
It's that's awesome to hear. It's a shame you can't dive into that because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Because it's a very you don't want to know that if you're playing the game, you don't want to know ahead of time.
Yeah, we'll do another show in like 6 months.
That sounds good.
All about it.
Spoiler cast.
Yeah, I'll inevitably. I mean, it's not going to be like a secret for the second one, so I'll inevitably be showing. As I show development, I'll show little bits of that stuff.
Awesome.
So it'll come out eventually.
That's great stuff. And that was a good question just now, by the way, Judd's great stuff. I just want to throw in one final question, if you don't mind. It doesn't, you don't have to answer it once again, but I just kind of wondered, would you consider Metroidvania like a bit of a sidestep as a like fundamental to the game? Would you consider opening it into a Metroidvania or anything like that? Because I know some devs have done that.
I have been thinking about that. I think the direction the story's going, a bit of a Metroidvania actually might work really well. I think it might be a little distorted from like the castle Metroidvania, the like one pure location, but
sure.
It might work. I think it would also like lend to longer play time and more discoverability and stuff. And I do really want to add that. I want you to feel a little bit more explorative. And I think the first one didn't really end up having it in a way that
kind of linear, wasn't it? In an inside way.
Which was totally fine. In an inside way. And I kept like trying to add stuff, but I just like didn't add enough. And I ran out of time to like do more of those little secret cubbies and all that kind of stuff.
They were cool. They were good.
I definitely want to give you a reason to like go back the other way and use the lightning door that you saw at the beginning. I mean, the classic Metroidvania stuff, but it's really early. I think little bits of that could work out, but I'm not sure yet. But
that's cool.
I'm thinking about it.
That would be cool. I mean, I think it worked really quite well because I know some devs have done the same sort of thing where they kind of sidestep a little bit. Well, I guess you could sidestep, but like it goes to broaden it out as well. But I know you'd quite like that linear thing for the first one. Maybe you'd open it up, but I don't know. I think it's a nice game design. Personally, I love that sort of style of game, but it would change things. If you're wanting a longer playtime, it definitely works well. There's some smaller like Metroidvanias as well. It doesn't always have to be the size of like a Hollow Knight or something. You know what I mean?
Totally. There's little bits of stuff. I mean, you'll notice through the game you kind of like fall off ledges all the time, and that's like how I'm not letting you. It's like I have the simplest save system in the world. Like there's all these little behind the scenes hacky things.
Yes, I know what you mean.
You can't go back anymore, so you can't break anything.
It must change it up the design quite a lot. It must be a different.
It would be a pretty big evolution in some of my systems, but
definitely
could be really cool.
Could be cool, definitely. I'm definitely excited for whatever you decide to do, my friend, because you're very talented, and really excited to see where the next step goes, basically, with this awesome franchise you are working on. And Dragonwall thinks I'm obsessed. I think he thinks I'm obsessed with Hollow Knight and Metroidvanias probably as well. Then, I will say guilty. Then, if you like, I'm willing to say yes, I am. If you want, I don't see it as a negative. I see it as one of my favourite things I've ever experienced. So, Hollow Knight and just Metroidvania design, I love. So if you like, that's all good, my friend. You can go with that. But I mean, any final questions in the chat, Juds, for Joe before we move on to the next topic at all?
Well, we do have a final question in the chat from that
old
tyrant, Scott. Battle Royale. I told him I think he already knows the answer to that one, so I think we can leave that one.
Beautiful.
Game 4.
Beautiful. Game 4, there's a progression going on, guys. Maybe you will do every genre or something.
Oh my God.
But I did really love all the set pieces in the game. Just to wind it up, there was so much I absolutely adored about it. It felt like a real journey that you went on. I loved the way it progressed through different environments, different the snowy areas, the climbing up the tall side of the cliff. I just love those big bits where you could really feel the scale of the game, and you like that bit where you come to the top of the cliff and then you have to go across the plank across from one side to the other. And there's loads of amazing bits where I love to see the scale, and it really really feels like you're going on that journey. So I absolutely love it for that. Visuals are beautiful. Awesome. Combat I really enjoy. Sometimes it does take a little bit to get adjusted to how it feels, but that is the same in any game. Just give it a little bit and you will adjust to it. If you haven't jumped into Song of Iron already, definitely do it. Links are all in the description below for Xbox or Steam links if you want to check out the game, and the links to the website for Joe as well. And I realized a minute ago that I hadn't pressed my thing I prepared especially, so I'm going to pop it one more time just to say a little hello to Joe, because I made an effort, guys. I made this, so I'm going to pop it one more time. So that was supposed to come up at the start. I'm going to get used to this new format stuff where we're trying to up the quality of production a little bit. So we got a lovely Joe looking like a dreamboat. He's but anyway, we're going to try and up the production quality a little bit, and then I make all the stuff and then I forget, so that's always good. But anyway, guys, we'll dive back into Song of Iron goodness at any point, but we're going to move on from there until our next topic, and that is to discuss a bit of Thunderful Games, as they're known as, but they are doing a a showcase on the 10th of November, which I'm super excited for. And that is, as I say, Thunderful World, it's going to be called. They are going to be, if you don't know about Thunderful, they are the guys making the Gunk. And also they are publishing Planet of Lana as well. They will be showing off both of those games alongside other games, including Fire Girl, which I streamed on the channel recently, White Shadows as well, Source of Madness, Curse to Golf, and Tinkertown are all ones they've announced in the press release, which they sent over. And I'm very excited to check out this show because I think it's going to be awesome. Thunderful are doing amazing things. Yeah, like I say, Planet of Lana is probably one of my most anticipated indie games. I will bring up some footage of that to remind you if you have forgotten what it is. But Planet of Lana looks amazing, and I imagine Joe probably thinks Planet of Lana looks pretty damn sweet, seeing as he loves a bit of inside goodness. It's got a feel of inside, but I class it as a colourful inside. But yeah, I will bring up some of these trailers for us, and we will have a little look.
Hello! I'm Liam Edwards. I'm the creator and director of Curse to Golf here in Kyoto, Japan at 2 Labs. Curse to Golf is a role play. It tasks players with taking on 18 dungeon-like goals throughout Golf Purgatory. It takes place in this beautiful pixel art world full of unique characters and interesting areas where you only have 3 clubs and a golf club, alongside powerful power-ups called ace cards to avoid the deadly and dangerous hazards in hopes of surviving each hole on your way to Ascension. Curse to Golf is inspired by the classic roguelikes and veteran games with smacked
Like it's all it's all the trailers. I prepared this last night, and then it all just defaults to the.
He's asking for me to help. I'll tell you, that's the worst person you need to.
If you want to come around my house, you have to come a long way. It's a long way.
I think you got it.
Yeah, it's all gone now. Thank you. Do you know what that is? It's basically I muted all these audios to all these trailers last night, and now it's. When I've turned it on today to do the stream, they've all been turned back up by default. So next time I'll make sure I double check before the actual show goes live. What a mess up. Sorry about this, guys. And now it should all be good. I think you can hear me.
The best bit of this, mate, is you get to tell everyone for the third time.
I can't do it. I don't think I can do it. What did they hear? What bit? I think they probably heard it all, didn't they?
I think they just heard noise and bleeding ears.
Oh my god. Sorry, guys. Right. We will get there.
You're saying Thunderfoot absorbed.
Yes, they did. Thank you. Yeah, they Image and Form Games. Thunderful did absorb them, and they are now kind of essentially making it under that. The SteamWorld games will come out under them, and also the Gunk as well, and games like that. So yeah, like I say, being shown off on the 10th of November, hosted by Mark Hamill, Planet of Lana, The Gunk, Fire Girls, White Shadows, Source of Madness, Curse to Golf, and Tinkertown have all been confirmed, and they will be flashing up on your screen, hopefully without loud audio this time. My God, sorry guys. But yeah, it's a really cool showcase. I'm glad that they're doing it. Annapurna did one, and they, Devolver have been doing them for a while. I'm glad that Thunderful are doing it as well, because they are awesome and they're bringing some awesome games. They've got Zoink under their umbrella as well. They've got some really cool creators, and yeah, definitely some awesome games on the way from them. Let's fire this one over to Luke still, because he has probably spoken the least so far, and I'd love to hear his thoughts on Thunderful. And what are you looking forward to this event, my friend? By the way, guys, we will probably very much likely be doing a live reaction show. I at least will be doing it, of this show on the 10th. But yeah, Luke, my friend, are you looking forward to the Thunderful showcase?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, above all else, I think it's crazy and really cool that they've got Mark Hamill doing this. He rarely does stuff like that. I can't think he's ever done anything kind of directly presentational in terms of games. So I think that's super cool, and obviously it's great for them because it will get a lot more eyeballs on it than maybe people would have been there. Like that I don't think they're. I mean, Thunderful are really cool, but they're not super well known. It's not like Devolver is hosting this, or Annapurna, which is kind of more generally known in kind of indie game circles. So I think that's really cool, first of all. And then some of the stuff that they've got coming. I mean, the Gunk, obviously, we've been looking forward to that for a long time. And it's still coming this year, right? It's
apparently it's still coming this year, and this could be the time for a nice juicy release date announcement. This will be when we're getting it. The other thing as well, guys, is Sarah Bond is going to be a part of this. If for Xbox fans, if you need something to get you excited, because when I say Thunderful, no one listens. When someone says Xbox, everyone listens. So if you need something to hang on to, not me being funny, Thunderful or Epic, Sarah Bond will be part of this if you need that. Yeah, so it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. So that, I mean, as you said, Planet of Lana, which looks super cool, super interesting. Fire Girl as well. That's one I think we've seen a couple of times before. Again, that's really cool. And I think it's great. It's always good when kind of more indie publishers come out and they start doing their own thing in terms of reveals and trying to get eyeballs on indie games and that sort of stuff. And Devolver and Annapurna have been doing it for a while. Devolver for quite a while, and it's great that Thunderful are kind of stepping in and going, what, we've got like enough content to be able to do this now as well and get people excited. I'm sure there'll be surprises as well.
Yes, so, they have confirmed
really cool.
New announcements as well. So these games will be shown, but also new announcements, which I'm thinking, because I know you're a fan of some of the SteamWorld games. Heist, I think you said you enjoyed. And so I think
I did. Yeah,
they have got one in the making. So would you be interested in seeing a new SteamWorld game of some variety?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Especially Mark Hamill. That's gonna be great.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? It's a pretty good get indeed. Yeah, I mean, like they are really coming up though. I think like Thunderful are, they're really bolstering up. They've got a lot of great devs under the umbrella. Like Zoink are really cool with their new game that just released recently, that the name escapes me now. The one that was in EA, not EA Access, it's not called that anymore. That's Zoink, isn't it, I think? Or is that not Zoink? Oh, God, the one that looks like Tim Burton style. Is that Zoink? I think it is. But yeah, it's looking good. Well, I will look that up and remind myself. But yeah, Judsy, baby, are you looking forward to seeing some Thunderful goodness, wonderful goodness?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the Thunderful goodness, because it's cool that we're getting another show that's going to be showcasing some of these fantastic indie titles. And exposure's everything, right? And there are a few things I want to see specifically. Obviously, the Gunk. Still don't think we've seen enough of that game. Want to see more of it. Stubbs in the chat is asking why an Xbox exec is needed. Well, it's probably linked to
the Gunk and
things like that. Gunk is for day one in Game Pass.
Exactly.
So there's probably going to be a link and potentially ID at Xbox and stuff like that. But they've done some fantastic games. Fire Girl is one I honestly didn't think I'd have any interest in until you streamed it. And it just looks so cute. I really do think it's the sort of game I'd actually quite enjoy. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about, though, is the labour laws in that world, because everyone she rescues, she forces into work at the fire department.
Yeah, that's quite
so
funny.
I'm a little bit,
I like that.
You know, we need to get Luke on the case there and make sure he's being treated correctly.
Definitely.
But I think it's going to be excellent. More exposure for these games, get people excited. Bad for the wallet again for the rest of us, but really looking forward to it. And obviously you pulled out Planet of Lana, which just looks so beautiful with moving trees and grass, I might add.
There we go. Indie games being
eye for detail.
Definitely.
But I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll be watching it. If you do a reaction, I'll be watching that or in it if you want. So can't wait for another show, mate, to be honest.
Sounds good. We'll do that if you're up for it, my friend. Sounds good.
Just sounds like I invited myself there,
I was going to invite both of you guys. Yeah, definitely. That's sounds good. It'll be a fun one. Like the Planet of Lana looks so damn good. As soon as I saw that was on Summer Game Fest, that showed up again. I was already following it actually before that. If you remember my crazy reaction when I saw it on the Summer Game Fest, I think you might have been doing a reaction with me on that time. One of you guys maybe. But anyway, Planet of Lana showed up.
Yeah, my ears were bleeding on that reaction.
Looks amazing.
2 sets of headphones that night, honestly.
But it looks really cool, and this is going to be a really quality showcase. I think it's looking great. Joe, have you had your eye on Thunderful at all? Do you know much about them or these games? Have you heard of I imagine you've heard of the Gunk. It's probably been on a few showcases alongside you, maybe on the show reels.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I did know them, but it's not like it's such a different theme than some of the other ones. But I'm looking at their catalog right now on the side, and it's like, I know a ton of these, and I'm super excited for the show. The White Shadows, I think it's called.
Yep.
Is one that I've been watching for a while. That's just like screams Limbo, but like in a circus or something, like in a creepy circus.
Yeah, I thought that one might be up your streak. Black and white vibe.
Yeah, definitely
inside.
But no, a lot of these look really cool, and I'm excited for the show now. I honestly didn't know there was one coming up, so I'm excited to check it out. I'm like just getting ready to just dive into tons of games at this point and start rebuilding my kind of library of cool things I've seen recently. And it'll be fun to check out what they've got coming.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is the White Shadows that Joe was talking about on the screen now, guys, if you're wondering. Looks really unique and quirky. Definitely one I've had on the wish list for a while. Be really cool to see that pop up again. But what's your thoughts on Planet of Lana? Is that up your street as well? That was bring that up for you.
It looks really cool. I think the art looks awesome. I'd love to explore it.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, anything like that, I'm always down to check.
It's a bit of a stunner. Yeah, definitely got a really nice vibe to it. It kind of blew up since it was on that show, which is great to see. On the Summer Game Fest show it was on. But very excited for this one. There's like you were mentioning Juds that about Stubbs said why would Xbox be involved. I wonder there's another link as well actually. Someone who follows me, I'm lucky to say in a way. It's a guy who used to work for Idea Xbox, who used to work alongside Chris Charla, and he now works for Thunderful, which he's an awesome guy. So he's Steiny UK, and I've spoken to him a couple of times very briefly. He's obviously he's not got time for little guys like me, but I did cheekily ask if he wanted to come on a show once, but I think he's very busy. He's like an acquisitions, he's basically a chief strategy and investment officer at Thunderful Games now. So he moved from Idea Xbox maybe 6 months ago over to Thunderful, and he's like right up there with the top guy always in the photos I've been noticing, like with the guy who's got a Swedish name, Brian something, their long name, but he's the owner of it essentially, Thunderful. But he always seems to be in there, so maybe he's kind of like had some contacts back to Xbox as well, and joining that up, because they have got a bit of a thing going on with Thunderful, and it's good to have those links up. But he's a cool dude anyway, and like I say, he works really closely with Chris Charla. He was kind of like the European Chris Charla, I think, if you see what I mean.
Oh, interesting. I'd say there's a link going on there. There's a bit of strategy going on there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so It's cool that, the Gunk, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I think because we had that showing of the Gunk recently, didn't we? It was a very small trailer and everyone was a bit like, oh, we were really thinking it was going to be loads of Gunk. Yeah. Loads of Gunk, baby. Give me the Gunk. But yeah, like, it wasn't very much. It was kind of like just a like short trailer, which you've been seeing on the screen. But now... I think this will be a proper showing of the Gunk, and I think you guys think we've got a release date on the cards, or we've got a delay?
I'm gonna go positive and say we got a release date on the cards.
Nice. And that was that release date as well, Joe?
Yeah, that's gotta be. We need it.
We need it. Yeah, it's looking good.
We need it.
It'll be lovely. It'll be lovely to see. Definitely a really cool looking game. And Luke, what's kind of your like one you're looking forward to, or you like? Anything in there which you're sort of like really sticks out to you?
Looking forward to seeing more of the Gunk, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't really think we've had like a proper gameplay run through of that, like just some uninterrupted, moment to moment stuff. But probably Planet of Lana, I'm anticipating a lot more. So
me too.
Really looking forward to seeing more on that because that looks super cool.
Yeah, I'm all over Planet of Lana. I think it's probably a little bit further, well, definitely a little bit further off. It's 2022 at least, apparently, I think they're saying. But it'd be cool to see more of that. But yeah, the Gunk, I think it's saying December still on the documentation, I believe. So hopefully we are still good for that December release of the Gunk. It's getting a bit chocker again. It's always chocker. We can't get away from chocker release dates now, can we? Chocker release months. Like even for yourself, was that a problem, Joe, when you were releasing Song of Iron? Did you consider that a lot with release schedules in other games, or was it? Yeah,
it's so hard to know, and so many people hold back, and I tried to pick a good one, and then what was it? New Worlds like sort of announced that they were coming out the same day, and then they delayed like 2 weeks ahead, and it was like so it's kind of smooth sailing. And then some other game like the day of was like, hey, we're out today, and they just went nuts.
Yeah, it's impossible to avoid.
Best, but,
exactly. I remember because you were just after like Death's Door, weren't you, or something as well? Like I think.
Yeah, a little bit after Death's Door. And, Grime had come out like a couple weeks ahead. And...
It's impossible, isn't it, to avoid everything?
Yeah, it's so hard. So hard.
But the good thing about your game is it's nice and digestible, isn't it? You get in and have a nice experience for 3 hours, and like it leaves that sort of great feeling with you after. But it's you can play it in one sitting or two, sort of thing. So it's easy.
Some people don't like that, but
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of people say they're finding it a bit harder as well. What did you think about? What was the gauge you got on people's feedback on that?
The difficulty, I think, the feedback was that it was not consistent. Like some people had a really easy time with it, and some people had a really hard time with it. So that's great feedback. I think I know what's going on there, and so hopefully I can even that out for everybody, and then maybe have like a difficulty setting for the next game or something.
Because that's tough. Because I was going to say, like, that is one of the things about games. It's got to feel satisfying, hasn't it? That's not something that you don't really people talk about, is it? Like, it's got to feel like, oh, yes, I beat the boss, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it can't be like too hard, so you can't ever.
Impossible.
But
yeah, totally.
That's tough. It must be hard balancing that. But
it's always.
Awesome stuff, guys. So just wanted to get that out, really, guys, because not maybe that many people know about Thunderful World. It's on the 10th, as I say. We will be doing a live reaction on the show that day. It's at 7 p.m, by the way, in the UK. I'm really looking forward to doing that. Juds has very kindly dropped a link in the chat to Thunderful World. Really cool games being shown off, and possibly a SteamWorld announcement, which I'd be up for. Maybe, I don't know whether it would be like a new SteamWorld game or something, but there's definitely lots going on under the Thunderful umbrella. I'd like Luke to have a little look at the setup at Thunderful and Devolver, because I want to figure out what's going on with these companies. Like, I need to know what I mean, I know they're still nurturing indie talent and all that, but we need a definition in the bag, Luke.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a bit of a weird.
But that question alone, he's going to send you an invoice now, Indy.
Yeah, that is definitely
No,
invoiceable.
you're veering into advice now. I mean,
I said the wrong word there, didn't I? Let's have a chat about it.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's funny. Thank you very much, everybody, who's hanging out with us. I think we're going to keep this moving on to the next topic, and that will be the Game Awards, which is coming quite soon. It's in December, but we're going to move on, and hopefully I'm not going to have any audio. I'm going to double check that. Can you check that? There's no audio on this one, I don't think. We're all good, I think. Yeah, we're moving on to the next topic. The Game Awards is coming December the 9th, but I wanted to get a little bit ahead of time, guys. I wanted to do a little cheeky chat about it. I mean, we're not quite there yet. We do, when we get the nominations through, we can have another chat maybe about things. But I wanted to get ahead of that. I wanted to jump the gun and do a little chat about it and say what we hope we might see at this year's Game Awards. Predictions, basically. Let's predict some indie games that we think will turn up at this year's Game Awards. We've got a few categories this year. Well, as if it's based on last year, of course. We've got Best Indie for we're talking indie, of course, guys. Indie, it's all about the indie goodness. So we got Best Indie. We have got Best Debut Game, which always constitutes indie games because it's their debut game, pretty much. Last year's are all indie. It makes sense that debut game is an indie game, and this year I do believe they've confirmed Song of Iron for a early nomination. They should do.
Oh my god,
that'll be awesome. They need to debut game. That's looking good for Song of Iron, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know.
That would be. I don't know. I would be blown away. It would.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to see it.
I would not be expecting that.
Well, that's awesome. That's because you're modest, and I love that about you. But it'd be awesome to see it on there. Let me just give you a little freshen up from last year, guys, because then you might be able to get an idea. But like I say, we're going to talk about the best indie category, best debut game category, and speculate about any indies that we think may get into the main game of the year category as well. And so just basically talking about indie representation. Definitely let us know in the chat, guys, your sort of predictions or games that you've loved this year on the indie scene that you'd love to see at the Game Awards. And I predict one's going to turn up in there, which may be one of mine as well. But anyway, let me just shout out what was on last year to give you an idea. Best Indie 2020 nominees were Hades, Spiritfarer, Spelunky 2, Fall Guys, and Carrion. Fall Guys is no longer an indie game, but it was then. So
can you unbecome an indie game?
Well, they got bought up, didn't they? I mean, you could probably tell better than me. You'll. That's a
good question.
I think because they got bought by Epic, didn't they? So.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, okay. They were bought out. So by Epic, yeah, basically what I just said. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. Would you? They would not be indie anymore. Would you say?
I guess so.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's similar to Psychonauts, isn't it? What happened with them?
Yeah, and I wouldn't call them indie anymore either. Even though people try to sometimes.
I think the spirit of that game is very much, roots in the indie side of it. But yeah, you are right. Technically, you're correct.
Yeah, I mean, it did start out as a Kickstarter equivalent, didn't it? So
I feel like if you launch indie and then get bought out, you're still indie. I mean, like the majority of the game is made on the $0 budget, basically. And then
that's true. That's true. Yeah. The only other thing to consider though with Fall Guys is it's an ongoing game, isn't it? So it's kind of a trickier one. If it was your game or like a sort of story based. But yeah, I know what you mean. Let's give it to him. Joe, I thought you'd be more hardcore about your indie definition. We should get you on again and we'll get into those kind of topics. I'd love that if you're up for it. I love always chatting where people draw the line. It's always interesting to hear because it's subjective, isn't it, a lot of the time. But when you've got a person like yourself, it's great to get that kind of insight. But definitely for another time. Interesting. But anyway, so Best Indie 2020 nominations: Hades, Spiritfarer, Spelunky 2, Fall Guys, and Carrion. Only one I need to play off that list that I haven't played is Spelunky 2, which I desperately need to. And Best Debut Game 2020 was Raji and Ancient Epic, Roki, Phasmophobia, Mortal Shell, and Carrion. So I could definitely see a Song of Iron being alongside games like that for sure. Definitely. But yeah, so those were kind of last year to give you an idea of the kind of thing. And and in the main game of the year category, Hades was in there, of course, as an indie representative, which was awesome. I wish it had won. I think it should have won, personally, actually. I think if any indie was going to win, maybe it's Hades. But anyway, let me just go one more thing and then we're going to get this rolling. So last year, Hades, just to give you a little thing on Hades, Hades was nominated in the Game of the Year, Game Direction, Narrative, Art Direction, Score and Music, Voice, Acting, Performance, Best Indie, and Best Action. So pretty cool. And it won Best Indie, and it won Best Action, Hades did. Pretty damn cool. So I think it should have won Game of the Year. But let's go straight to my man Luke on this one, fresh off of a little Hades chat. I know he loves Hades. Is there? What do you think about last year's nominations and formulating into this year's? Have you got any this year's kind of predictions or games that you've absolutely loved on the indie scene that you'd like to see show up? You can tackle it in a way of debut game, best indie game, or if you want to see any games in the main Game of the Year category, my friend.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I think with some of those categories for this year, ones like debut games can actually be quite hard to think about. The first games in a
Yes, I know what you mean.
That get nominated, because often a lot of the time you don't, unless it's someone like Joe who's really open about his background, etc. It's hard to know, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to know, and sometimes you don't look into it. So I'm not going to comment on that category for that reason.
Totally fine with, because sometimes they're not like wearing it on their sleeve, are they? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that's a difficult one. I think in terms of Game of the Year, I mean, there's as we all know, there's always a token indie in the main category, and I'm struggling this year. I think it would probably be something like Death's Door. I could see that kind of being up there and getting that spot, if you want to call it that. And it's it's not good that we have to say that it's a token slot, but I think each year, the good thing is it seems to be. So last year, for example, with Hades, like, I totally agree. Like, Hades, I wouldn't have given it Game of the Year, even though I love that game, purely on the strength of some of the stuff it went up against. But if anyone was to give that Game of the Year, I could absolutely agree with that, because
IGN
it's a
did.
Fantastic game.
They gave it. They gave it overall Game of the Year. Yeah,
they did. Cool. Yeah, I think maybe I can't remember if did the BAFTAs give it Game of the Year as well. I can't remember, because I remember Last of Us 2 won a lot of awards there, but I'm sure maybe the BAFTAs give it Game of the Year.
Not too sure about that. I'll have to check it.
But anyway, so and I think that was. All of the stuff it won, from IGN, richly deserved, because it's an amazing game, a really, really amazing game. I don't think there's been an indie game this year that's as strong as Hades. So
that's what I was going to ask you. If anything was going to win in the overall, is it going to be Hades or is it going to be Death's Door or whatever? You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Funnily enough, I think if Hades was this year. And it kind of is this year on other platforms, but it's not on a game. So if it was this year, I could see it having a really good chance of actually winning. Unfortunately, it's not.
But, it's won so many, which is great for it, though. It's done so well. I think it's like over 50 awards or something. I think it said on one of the trailers, the Accolades trailer.
For sure. So. It's a great game. This year, I don't think there's anything in the indie scene that's been as strong as that. There's been lots of very, very good games, but I don't think anything of that level. In terms of this is a Game of the Year type experience. Death's Door, as I say, was probably the strongest indie game I played, and that's a really, really fantastic game, and I think some people
It's great.
do, think that's game of the year. And again, I wouldn't disagree with that choice, but it wasn't as strong.
Definite
reaction as Hades for me. And even going back, I think it's 2019 maybe when Celeste was nominated.
It was 18. I think it was 18. Was it?
18?
Yeah, but
was it 18?
Yeah, that was in the main game of the year, wasn't it? It might have been 19. I can't remember now, but it was 18 or 19, wasn't it? Yeah, but that was in the main game of the year. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, again,
which is awesome.
An incredible game.
Couldn't agree more with that.
There's a lot this year that could be on those awards. Indie Game of the Year. Again, there's been so much this year that this you'd have so many good games on there. And it'll be a difficult choice. I wonder if I don't see. I wonder how a game like It Takes Two where that will fall, because
Good question.
It is, it's an independent developer, albeit a very big one. But it's published by EA, and it's kind of in that weird halfway house, because really, in terms of indie sensibilities, I think that's probably the best indie. And I'm not calling it an indie game, but it has that kind of feel to it. So, and I do wonder where they'll place it in the awards. I guess they probably won't put it in indie game because it's been published by EA under their originals program. But
that's the thing. I think because even what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. The lead guy. What's his name again?
Joseph
Fares. That's it. I'm going to be right at the second. Must have been from your head. But yeah, like he even says they're not really indie anymore in an interview I watched. Yeah. He says they're more triple I.
Triple I.
Triple I. Yeah. So whatever that might be.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I could even Joe. What do you think about them as their indie or not?
That's a tough one. I mean, my gut reaction is that it's not an indie game. I think the media and publishing power behind it, along with probably the size of that studio at this point, makes it hard to say it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of. I mean, that's the discussion for the other show. But just like the triple I, as funny as that is, it's actually very helpful as a way to think about it. Not that we have like double A and single A games necessarily, but indie is like saying sports or something, or like it's so vague. It's really hard to, I don't know.
I know what you mean. It's tricky. It is, because like if you wanted to be strict, you could say just people who are like yourself, really, Joe, like properly indie, who are separate from a publisher or anything. You could be so strict if you wanted to. It's just where you want to define and draw the line and stuff. But I think we have moved quite a way now. We're in quite a long way past the sort of like the start of the indie sort of the uprising or whatever. I think it's evolved quite a bit. So we kind of need to reevaluate a little bit. We have to be a bit more lenient about our definitions, I think, because otherwise, it is tough. There's so many games as well. So many different games from different backgrounds being made in different ways. But yeah, it's interesting. So Luke, sorry, I cut you off a little bit there, my friend. Was there
no
anything you wanted to round up on that?
Yeah, so I think there's I think there's a lot of really good indie games that released this year. Thinking like Sable and Kena, but that could well be up there as well, particularly because the production values on that. Artful Escape, great game.
Yes.
Really original. So
definitely.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and I'm really interested to see which of those kind of makes the overall game of the year list. Which indie will be blocked out as here's the one that's we're gonna hold up as. It's gonna be one. There's gonna, like you say, is that I think we'll have that definitely. Yeah.
But
it won me 12 minutes though because I was garbage. So,
he really hates that game.
Yeah, it won't be that.
I still haven't got to it.
That had a lot of promise as well.
It did, but then the pressure is a thing, isn't it? Who said really? There's I guess it did have promise, but I had a feeling along the way that a lot of people were hyping this game up big time. And I did actually have a feeling that it might not turn out that to equal that hype level, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of pressure on it.
It was. Yeah, and the Ascent as well. That's another game that could be around there. I mean, that had.
Yeah.
I don't think that's as universally acclaimed as stuff like Kena or Death's Door or anything like that. But it's still a pretty strong indie game.
I think it will show up. Maybe. Yeah. It's tough. Yeah. I mean, you got like games like Eastward as well. I haven't played that, but that's getting a lot of hype, getting a lot of appraisal, isn't there? If that is not the right word, that's not the right word. Is it? Praise is the word, isn't it? Appraisal. But yeah, like there's been a lot. I feel like there's a lot of solid games this year. Maybe like like 9s out of 10s, 8.5s out of 10s. But it's hard to sort of say, oh yeah, that is like the definite one. Apart from Death's Door, I feel like that is a standout.
Yeah.
For me this year, I think that's going to be the token, as we call it. Let's move this over to Joe, if that's okay. Joe, have you got any? This is quite a funny question to ask, Joe. Actually, is there any games, Song of Iron, maybe?
Hey, man, I'd be happy to be part of the show.
It'd be awesome.
I really don't think so. I think
you got a thing going with old. Jeff, haven't you? You got a bit. He's back and forth in the DMs. He might be on his radar.
Me. We chat a little bit. I mean, like there's a chance, but I just think like if I were to be nominated, then probably Grime should have been nominated, and there's a few others. And we're not the exact same, but we'll see. Hey, I will be more shocked than anyone, I think, if it happens.
Love it.
But no, man, it's a tough one. I think Valheim should show up, but I don't know if it will.
Okay.
I think it's one of those, like, it's the type of game that people won't equate to that stuff, but it's hard to argue with the numbers that they did.
Yeah. I think
those numbers are astronomical for the size of a team and whatever. But technically it's like in early access, so maybe they just sort of inevitably restrict it so that they can do the official launch. Be the review year. So maybe it just sort of naturally gets overlooked for that. Kenna has like the pedigree to be like on the top, like just visually you'd never know. You'd never know as an indie game.
Yeah.
Much like Takes Two. It's like, okay, guys, like what's going on here?
I don't even
compared to like the rest of us or whatever. But I mean, Death's Door, obviously, I think so many people were calling Game of the Year for it when it was coming out, and people, I think, and that's late in the year, and that's always a good sign. I think we'll see 12 minutes, but I don't think it'll win. I think it was good,
nice,
but maybe a little flawed in some interesting ways. That
overambitious.
That
on
I think
this story was it, and like so that's why.
Just it's just one of those things. It's like it's awesome that it exists because I think it probably will inspire some like way better versions of what it was trying to do, and that's all you can ask for from like something so new and innovative like it was. But Little Nightmares 2 also was like a really good game that came out and I thought was really well received, even though it's pretty small and it's a sequel, but it's a pretty crazy good game.
I was gonna say that's another one which is confusing. Not to say everyone we're picking is confusing for indie, but that one was kind of brought up as well by is it Embracer Group? I think above them, if you see what I mean, or something. Their studio, Tarsier, isn't it? I believe, or it's brought up by one group. Anyway, it's getting confusing. We should probably stop saying confusing about every game.
I know it's tough. It's gonna be a tough one. Death's Door is the one that people, I think, everybody's calling generally, like were when it came out more than kind of any of the other stuff.
Definitely,
so that'd be my guess if it's gonna hit it.
And what would be your personal kind of indie game of the year? Is that the same, or would it be something else?
I think, I mean, like for me, it would have to be Valheim from the stuff I've played this year.
Yep.
I just soaked so many hours into that. So
nice.
That's where the 3 weeks went for the Song of Iron.
Oh, so since the release,
it's their fault.
That's cool. I love it. Bit like that Destiny thing. People get hooked into it, don't they? That's good.
You can just live in the Valheim world and not worry about real life, which is wonderful.
Cool. That makes sense. It ties in with your, taste for your game and that. But yeah, I think I honestly think that I can see you turning up on best debut, because you're very much the debut man, aren't you? And you're like this solo guy. I think they
Facts a little bit.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Good for everybody. Yeah.
Facts. Well said. And Judsman, have you got sort of like any predictions or any games that you've loved that you think should definitely be there or anything like that?
Absolutely. But first, I've got to call out Mr. Luke Steele, because he's thrown us a curveball here. The only reason he mentioned the BAFTAs, did Hades win? No, Hades didn't win it, because the Outer Wilds won 3 categories last year in the BAFTAs. And
nice.
That was
now,
subtle.
very subtle. For our American friends, that's the British Academy of Film and Television Awards, a show that no one pays any attention to, really. But the Outer Wilds did win 3 categories, so that's quite cool. Anyway, on to the Keeleys. So, yes, I've got quite a few thoughts on this one. Pretty much what everyone said already. I mean, yes, I think Death's Door is going to be up there. It's going to be nominated. The Ascent, I think, definitely could have been in the running for the main sort of game of the year if it didn't launch with so many bugs. I only like to really comment on stuff I've finished. So there's a few really, like the Ascent. Obviously, that's a really great game. Art of Rally. Omno, what a beautiful game Omno is. I think that could easily
could be
indies.
That could be the debut alongside Joe, actually.
And you know what, best debut, why not Song of Iron?
I
finished that as well, so I'm happy to comment on it. But why not? I mean, I know Joe's being very
modest,
very humble and modest in his and that's fine, but why the hell not? Let's have it.
It's a great game.
It's a fantastic game. Artful Escape as well. Foxy mentioned that in the chat. What an amazing game that is. Facts. Very divisive, funnily enough. Very divisive.
Really? Oh, right.
But I would put... we'll talk about that offline.
Is it the gamification about it? Is that what it is? People don't find enough mechanics there, or is that what it is? Or
Yeah.
From
what I've heard, people love sliding around playing the guitar, much like me on a Saturday night after a couple of beers. Then it's the bits in between where you do the talking. They're like, I'm bored of this.
It's beautiful.
I love
really
that.
Touched me in places. Not like that. Sorry, I'm not actually trying to be weird. Right, I promise. I did it.
Too late. You've already blown it, mate. You've already blown it.
It really did touch me. Actually, I loved it. The emotional aspect of the game. I found a connection with it. Actually, I really did. I no joke. I had a little tear. I had a tear. There we go.
Okay. Before we need to call in some emotional support animals to help Indy out. That didn't shock me, no.
I cry a lot of things.
I think Artful Escape is a little bit divisive. I loved it. And talking about the different categories as well, if you think of best music, I mean, I'm obviously torn between the Artful Escape, which is absolutely incredible, as a guitarist, some of the stuff they're doing on that, and even meshing things together with the way the gameplay works. Just beautiful on a technical level. And of course, Song of Iron, not just because Joe's here, but my main man, Will Goss. What an awesome dude. Really great on your interview as well. He came across so cool. But Song of Iron music's absolutely awesome. I need to hit him up for a couple of tips. But awesome. So I think there's quite a lot of... Well, there's so many, isn't there? From a personal perspective, it could be at least 4 games that win the main game of the year that I've completed this year. But it's a juggler's tale. There's another one, so creative.
That's a debut
such
as well.
Awesome way of telling a story. Yeah, that's another debut. Sorry, Joe, you've just lost a debut there. I think juggler's tale is going to take that one now. But, there's so many that could win big in, some of the bigger categories, because this blurring of the lines of, technical capability. We talked about Kena, for example, the presentation, Ascent, music in the Ascent as well, the mid-tempo stuff, fantastic. There's so many indie games that are genuine competitors these days, and it's absolutely fantastic, and more of it. So I'll shut up there, my friend. That's my opinion for now, and
that's great. I really like the roundup. I mean, so if you were to choose it, if you were allowed to be the guy who says you choose the indie game of the year, what would yours be?
You had to do that, didn't you?
That's a perfectly subjective. So there's no wrong answer.
No pressure.
I'll tell you what. It's very, very difficult, but I kind of get splinters in my backside sitting on the fence like this. Honestly,
I think you're going to say
I'll tell you
this,
what,
aren't you?
I'll give you my top three because three of the ones I finished, I would only nominate really for Game of the Year. I've not finished Death's Door yet. That's great. I've finished Descent. But I would put up there, for personal preference, Omno, Artful Escape, and Song of Iron. Those three, just brilliant. And they're all for different reasons. And different capabilities and stuff in the game. So, yeah, don't make me pick one.
It's incredibly tough, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's very tough. There's so many good games. Like I said, it's a very solid year. There's not like it's hard to decipher this year. And by the way, guys, that reminds me, we are going to be doing the Indie Game Awards again this year. We did do it last year. Maybe not everyone was around at that point, but we did Indie Game Awards on the channel. Just a fun way to do our own awards, all focused on indie games. And that year, Joe actually won the most anticipated indie game, I do believe, category.
I think I won the best. I won the best developer, not the best.
Oh, was it?
Not the most anticipated.
I'm glad you remember what it was. That's an honor.
Yeah, come on. It's my only award.
Hold it on to. Should have gone on the trailer.
First award.
First award of many. There we go. Was it? There was. Yeah, I think I remember that now. You were in the nominations though for most anticipated. I remember that because that came up on Twitter randomly the other day. Sorry, it's someone like a really old tweet. But yeah, we'll be doing that again, it's a lot of fun. We get people votes in and stuff, and we do community votes as well for a certain one, and have a show as well, and do the awards and reveal the winners and that fun stuff. But yeah, looking forward to doing that at the end of the year at some point. But yeah, I think for me it's got to be, my pick would probably be that for Indie Game of the Year would probably be Death's Door. Definitely Song of Iron is an awesome game, and I think it should definitely be featured at the Game Awards for sure. It should be in the nominations. It's an awesome game. Play it for sure. But there's been so many, it's tough. Like Sable, I think that has got a good chance of coming up in these categories. I think a lot of people have been enjoying that, and it's been getting great reviews. I've played a good chunk of it, and it's very beautiful, serene feeling to it the game has. There is so many. The Artful Escape is definitely one of my favorites this year as well. But yeah, great seeing all these folks in the chat bring in their sort of takes. We've seen Lady Foxfire the Legend. She said the Artful Escape would 1000% be her game of the year in the indie category, that is. That is awesome to hear. It is an awesome game. I know VJ really enjoyed it. Shout out to VJ joining us. Thank you very much for being here, buddy. Yeah, so, and VJ says Hollow Knight. I know he's a massive fan. Doesn't matter what year it is, VJ says Hollow Knight. He says I should buy Hollow Knight once a month the other day, because I bought it again on Steam after having it on Xbox for so long. And it was like, it felt weird buying it again. But yeah, I'm going to play it again on Steam because that's kind of my main platform now. Since I last played it was the Xbox. But yeah, time to play through that bad boy again, I think. Shall I stream it, guys? That's a dangerous thing to do, stream Hollow Knight, and you'll be revealed as a fraud because it's quite tough. I did die a few times on Hollow Knight, everyone does. So if I do stream it, it will be one of those sessions where it's like, this is you're lay it all out on the table basically.
You got to get in on streaming Silk Song when that comes out, mate. That'll be.
Oh yeah, that'll be awesome. Definitely, that'll be amazing when that comes out. Cannot wait. Going to be awesome. Yeah. So Death's Door was very good. Dragonwolf says, and anyone else? Any other chat you've noticed there, Juds? Anyone mentioning anything? Have you noticed anybody?
Only Stubbs, but I think we can pretty much ignore what he has to say, to be fair.
I think that's all right, yeah. That's nice.
Stubbs is a good friend, by the way, Joe. We're only kidding with him.
Yeah.
He says, what remains of Edith Finch? Because of course he does. That's all he ever says.
He is playing Song of Iron at the moment, though, but I think he's savouring it because he's been playing it for about 3 months or something. I don't know. Go on, you got this, Stubbs. You got this. I think he's finding it a bit tough, but some of the platforming sections questions maybe. But don't worry, it's all good, Stubbs. You've got this. I know you're progressing now. He's doing good. He's just got to stick with it.
Throw the axe more.
That is the key. That is really the key. That's why I said in my review, I said, what did I say? I said, throwing the axe is definitely the best way to put pay to enemies. I did script it. That's why I can remember it.
Yeah, there you go.
It is though, isn't it? If you keep picking up that axe, throwing it, you're gonna be successful. I think that's why.
Yeah, it's a good way to get through hard stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I rarely did that. That's really interesting. I was too concerned about losing my axe. I know you can pull it back, but I'm like, someone's going to attack me if I throw it away. Like,
yeah, no,
different ways to play the game. You see, very strange.
There is.
Kick them.
Yeah, kick them away, then pick up the axe. Then you've got them, and make space as well. Let them come to you. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's good, Joe? Or is
I finished it unlike Stubbs, so I think that's probably good advice for Stubbsy there.
Yeah, good
you
advice.
You need to get through it though,
yeah.
mate. There's an interesting twist, so keep playing, my friend.
He's going to be waiting for
he
that.
Says
now.
I will get there.
Keep your eyes open when you play through the game, guys. Keep aware of your environment as well. Things might be happening. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, this has been awesome, guys. We're a little bit longer, but yeah, maybe. This is the first show, so I hope it's not been a bit long. We're going to try and keep this a bit more of a concise show. So I think we're going to wind up there. Has anyone else got anything else they want to say about the Game Awards and indie stuff about the Game Awards before we wind things up? No.
Only I wouldn't want to be picking. Honestly, there's so many competitors that deserve it this year for all sorts of different categories. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Most definitely, yeah. And makes me wonder sometimes, like you see, like Hades last year. I don't think that will feature again because the first release was on the PC, so that's PC and Switch was out the first year. They won't. Some people were like, "It's my game of the year," but that's came out on Xbox. I don't think it will have another chance of entry. I doubt. Is that right? Would you agree with that?
So,
yeah, because I think there's other games like that as well. Like, yeah, otherwise it'd be ridiculous. Every year they'll be back, wouldn't they, and stuff. It's for showcasing games. That's why I think Jeff's doing a good job. He's getting these smaller categories. We could see maybe another one added in there, which showcases again further some smaller indies and in a different way. I like the debut category. That's a really cool one. But yeah, the categories we do on the Indie Game Awards when we do that are all about that. So hopefully you'll enjoy that when we do that again. Lots of good stuff planned. We've got this show back on the regular first Thursday of every month, guys. And yeah, thank you so much everyone who's joined us today. I think we're going to wind things up with some nice outros now, guys. It has been an absolute pleasure. Let's see here. What are we going? We've had let's get this wound up. We've had Joe Winter join us today. What a legend. What a great guy he is. Besides all the awesome creation and development he does, he's a great down-to-earth guy just to hang out with and chat games, but I love all his insights. You've been awesome today, my friend. It's a pleasure as always. I'd love to get you back on and do a meaty indie sort of discussion. That'll be a really cool show to do, actually, I think, if you'd be up for that sometime. But for now, my friend, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us. And would you like to shout out where everyone can find you?
Yeah, first, thanks for having me. I'm super down to get back on and talk rate what an indie is. We can talk in circles about that forever. But yeah, you can find me at songofiron.com. That'll link you to anything you need, but I'm super active on Twitter at Song of Iron. But the game's out. Everybody knows it. We've talked about it enough. Go check it out. Leave a review. Reviews are important for us. Indie peeps.
Indie peeps.
Yeah. I appreciate being on, as always, man.
Awesome, my friend. Yeah, no, definitely check out the game, guys, because like you may be flooded with so many games, and there's always chance to jump in and at opportunity. It's a great game to just play in between as well as the time length allows. But yeah, absolute pleasure, Joe. Thank you so much for hanging out. We definitely should have. We could do one of those, those things where you categorize. I don't know what they're called, but you can download like a a tier system. Have you seen them things you can download and you put like each game into each tier of category, or where we could categorize them as III, indie, just for fun? That's probably a dangerous thing to do. Everyone will be like, you're wrong.
They'll be coming for us.
Yeah, exactly. But no, thank you very much for joining us. It's an honor. Like I say, you're an awesome guy, and always have a fantastic time chatting with you, buddy. But yeah, we should do this again. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you, my friend. Judsy, baby, always a pleasure, my friend. It's been great bringing back the podcast. Hopefully we can get some momentum going with the show, but we've had so many great people in today. You know, the great MVPs who have joined us. It's always awesome to see them. But yeah, you're an awesome guy, my friend. So I'm absolutely honored to have you on the regular doing this as a co-host. That makes me very happy, excited for what we have in store going forward. But thank you so much for joining me today, my friend. And where can they find you, sir?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with Joe today. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been fantastic. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Judzilla UK, YouTube if you want to listen to my music. You know, I'm on the grind to 100, as most of the chat probably knows. Go and subscribe and turn notifications off. You'll be none the wiser. Go and check out my latest Halo music if you want to have a bit of that in your life. And yeah, been awesome. Can't wait for the next one. Thanks so much, everyone. Brilliant chat.
Awesome stuff, buddy. Thank you very much for being here and a part of it. Like I say, awesome stuff. And finally, and last but not least, Luke still has been a legend as always. Over on the Green Pass Gaming, you will find him regularly, but it's great to be having him on his second podcast he's added to his repertoire. I'm so glad to, be doing this with you, brother. Love, everything what you're about. Your great gaming knowledge and passion always shines through. And thank you very much for being part of today. Looking forward to all we have in store in the future. Where can they find you, Luke, my friend?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, been a pleasure. Great to meet quote unquote Joe as well, so that's been fantastic. And yeah, you already said Green Pass Gaming on YouTube every Sunday, 8 p.m. UK time, and usually 3 p.m. Eastern, but it'll be a little weird now because of the clocks.
Yeah, for about a week or so.
Yeah, yeah, for about a week. And on Twitter, I'm at LukeSteele90, so check me out there.
Definitely, my friend. That is awesome. Yeah, I think it's for about a week or two that it's an hour later in America, basically, than it would be in the usually, basically. So, yeah. So I think it'll be 4 p.m. No, yeah, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Cool. Brilliant. But yeah, thanks again, my friend. It's great to be doing this. Very excited for what we have in store going forward, guys. We'll be adding to the show, bringing new bits and bobs into, the visuals. Hopefully I'm going to add stuff in. Hopefully I'm not going to mess up totally with the audio next time. And hopefully I'm not going to forget to bring in the thing I made, introduce the fine guest that we had today. All that stuff. But yeah, no, we just want to make it a bit fresh and something different. And we're bringing the indie goodness. It's all about indie games, of course. That's the main focus. The conversation, the awesome community, bringing everyone together to chat indie games. That means a lot, and love being able to do it with all you great people in the house today. But yeah, like I say, we will be on every month, first Thursday of the month, we will be going live. And if you wanted to find me, I'm obviously right here on the channel, the Indie Gamer YouTube channel, which you're watching right now, or you can join the Discord, which you're very welcome to do. That would be awesome to continue the conversation, as they say. And the Discord link is down below, and feel free to click on that. And yeah, there's more chat going on over there, sharing the indie goodness and chatting about indie games. It's always great chat over there, talking about all that good stuff. And it's nice just to be able to chat like-minded sort of experiences with other great gamers. And we're also going to organise another Circuit Superstars night one time soon as well, which was fun last time. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one if you're interested in some gaming sessions too. But yeah, thank you so much everyone who has joined us. I'm going to do a quick run of shout outs to you legends. We have had Z Black Rider in the house. Thank you very much to Juds, who's dropping links like no one's business. You're a legend, bro. Stubbs Gaming in the house. Thank you very much for hanging out, bro. Dragon Wolf in the house. Thank you very much for being here. VJ dropped by. Thank you very much. Bringing the Hollow Knight love. And we are definitely going to have to do some Hollow Knight centric stuff soon. Suko, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Pixel Slapper, once again, legend. Thank you very much for coming by. Who do we have? We had Lady Foxfire. Thank you very much for hanging out today, Lady Foxfire. You're awesome. And anyone else do we have? We had Scott SX2 in the house. Thank you very much for hanging out, buddy. And I'm sure we had a few more, but anyone else who was hanging out with us, you are awesome, and it means the world. Like I say, if you are into indie games, definitely feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. The podcast is once a month, but there is other content obviously coming on the channel, showcasing that indie goodness. I will be doing a few top 10s I have planned, I've got to get to, and also, you know, videos and stuff like that, potentially fitting in some reviews. We do all kind of things on this channel, but it's all indie centric, so if you love indie games, you're in the right place. But thank you once again everyone who joined me on the panel, all three legends, you're awesome. And everyone in the chat, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being here, and yeah, we're going to wind it up there, and I'll see you hopefully next month with the Indie Games podcast on the first Thursday of the month. But otherwise, we will have the live reaction on the 10th of November of the Thunderful World showcase. Definitely looking forward to that. Thanks again for watching, guys. We will see you then.